The student racing has roared into life here on day 2 of Henley Royal Regatta as the Temple, the Island, the Queen Victoria and the Prince Albert all get underway. And what a race. Brooks E toppling their Dutch opposition. We'll reflect on all of that in today's episode. But before all of that, a word from our sponsor. This week's coverage is brought to you by Arkanesis, the proud creators of the Naus Flow system. You may have seen some of their boats around the boat park and around the racing arena here at Henley Royal Regatta. That's because they're also the official data providers of British rowing. Coaches love the Arkanesis system. You get live 500 metre splits, you get cadence and all sorts of bits live fed to coaches from the water, and it makes debriefing after a session incredibly efficient and provides you with so many analytics to take forward into future training. I'm Fergus, Mainland, and alongside me for today's edition of the End of the Island during the tea break here at Henley Royal Regatta is Zoe de Toledo and Sasha Castel-Branco. Hello to both of you. Welcome back to our wonderful studio on top of the balcony. Zoe, Henley Day 2, you've been busy announcing. How's it all been for you?
Busy, yes.
Busy.
Very busy. A bit warmer today, much busier in stewards around on the bank. I thought yesterday was already busier than I anticipated for Tuesday, but today's really kicked off. So the atmosphere is definitely building.
It certainly is. And Sasha, you've got the best seat in the house looking out from the press box. What have you made of it all today?
I think I still can't quite get to grips with the fact that that's where I'm sat for the week. It's definitely a place to be for the action. It's been kind of a bit of the same as yesterday this afternoon in terms of lots of racing getting going, kind of some lesser crews being knocked out by some really fierce competition, but it's been spectacular to watch it all.
Yeah. So you do both the announcing from the floater and some live stream commentary. Which one do you prefer?
Oh, I'm not going to say because I don't
then
want
you
to
might get
offend
kicked
anyone.
off the other
but
one.
They are very different,
Yeah.
and they have really different challenges. I think the announcing is much more formulaic, so you have to stay within the script, and you're trying to kind of creep a little bit of your own personality into it, whereas with the commentary it's a bit freer, but it's also appealing to different audiences as well, so it's quite a different thing.
Nice, very nice. Well, Sasha, we said at the top of the show, a lot of the student stuff has all kicked off. In fact, all of the student stuff has kicked off today. And what's really exciting, we had the first couple of rounds of the Queen Victoria Challenge Cup for the women's quads. It was really special to see them get underway, wasn't it?
It absolutely was, and I think leading up to the Queen Victoria and most of the quad events, the name on the street has been Reading, hasn't it? And they didn't disappoint today. They went out 2 races for the Queen Victoria already, both won by Reading. So I think it's just a testament to their programme, and great to see what Reading A will do tomorrow.
Yeah, well, that's the question, I think, Zoe. If that's what Reading B and C are doing, beating Edinburgh's top crew, I think, for the C boat, what can we expect from their A crew, do you think?
Well, I mean, are any of us surprised, I guess, is the question, really. They were always going to come here and want to dominate this event, weren't they? And I think, I can't say it's a huge shock, but like Sasha said, just huge testament to the programme they've built there.
Yeah, massively. Well, we'll get on to some of the other student racing as well. We've got some cracking interviews coming up in the Island Challenge Cup, so we'll round off on that. But let's go to the Temple next, Sasha. Some of the fastest boats out there on the water. It's incredibly exciting. What stood out to you from today's Temple roster?
I think what stood out is a little bit of probably sadness in the Dutch camp, whilst some amazingly successful races for both A and B crews for Neerhouse. They are facing each other in the next round. So I think, a bit of a long way, as we always say, to come to do something you could do at home. But I think they've put on a spectacular show. As you said at the start, Brooks E, I think, surprised everyone. And with their C and D crews out, I think it's E and A all to play for.
Yeah, I mean, it begs the question, Zoe, who is Brooks's top boat at this regatta?
I know. I mean, maybe they're just messing with us. Maybe A is C and E is A, and we'll find out, I guess, as the week goes on.
Can you drop your WOX mentor colleague Morgan a line and get the inside scoop on that?
She never tells me the truth.
She doesn't tell you anything.
She's always setting you off on the wrong lines.
Well, that was massive, and I think, Zoe, for Brooks to be set up in the way they are, I don't think any of us expected that performance. It was the final race before tea when they took down Asopus from the Netherlands, and I think, to be honest, I would be guilty of writing off that Brooks E crew, but what a statement about the entire strength of that Brooks programme.
And you could see how much it meant to them. They were really, really pleased to win that one. Not just the guys in the boat, but you could see when they came in, athletes and supporters on the bank as well will just really chuff for them, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the other domestic crews getting off to a good start. University of London, they beat Newcastle. Sadly, I was out in the launch following that one, which was lovely. It's always lovely to be out following it, but watching UL come out on top wasn't so fantastic. But Sasha, the Americans have done well, haven't they, in the Temple Challenge Cup?
Yes.
Both Yale and Syracuse have looked fab.
Absolutely. I think 2 big wins there, and after a Tuesday that wasn't spectacular for the American crews that have come over, I think that was really great. The first of the Americans in this morning, I think, was Trinity.
Yes.
Race 3 against Drexel. And so I think in the press tent, all of us were saying it's just nice to see an American crew go through after coming over such a long way.
Yeah, and I think what I loved, I love collegiate racing in the US, absolutely love it. And I think for Trinity, Division 3 program, so they don't race against Washington, Cal, that sort of thing. So to see them come out and go against Drexel, who probably have them ranked 17th or 18th. This is me just starting to nerd out at this point. But Trinity are seriously good. They're an exciting program, and I think they raced previously as Riverside Recapture or Riverside Front last year in the PA. So to have a full 8 over this year is very, very exciting. We also had the Prince Albert going as well. We had a good win for Cambridge. But I think, Zoe, we've had the Island Challenge Cup. That's kicked off today. And I think there's been some really exciting performances across the board in that one. I
couldn't pick a crew in the Island to win the event. I was looking at the times from this morning. I think all the barrier times were within a second of each other. And I can't choose a crew to be seeing on Sunday, even 2 crews to see on Sunday. I don't know, Sasha, what you think, but
I mean, it's pretty neck and neck across the course. A lot of the races that we've seen today have been fairly far apart, but I think the Island is where it's been most exciting. As you say, the times just show the depth of student women's rowing, both in the UK but also globally.
Yeah, and I think because it's the first round of the Island, we've still got some incredible crews to come into the mix tomorrow. I think, again, I was pleased to see Newcastle winning out ahead of Yale B, but they'll be going through and racing Washington tomorrow. So the likes of Washington to come into the mix, some great domestic crews, Durham, UL, all to play for. But let's take a moment.
You just described Durham as an excellent UK crew. Did that
feel okay for you? Did that actually just slip off the tongue there? Goodness.
Did that hurt you physically?
I spent too much time with Camilla recently. That's the problem. But let's enjoy that Newcastle win. Let's do that, because after their win against Yale B in the Island Challenge Cup, we caught up with JRN's very own Scarlett, who is coxing the Newcastle crew. It's wonderful to hear from her, and congratulations to all of the Newcastle crew who we'll be hearing from just now.
I'm here with Scarlett, cox of Newcastle University A crew in the Island Challenge Cup, just come off the water after successfully defeating Yale University B in your opening heat. How does it feel to be a winner on the Henley Royal Regatta course?
It feels pretty cool, yeah. I've never won a round of Henley before, so that's really cool, yeah.
Fabulous. And your opposition today come all the way over from the United States of America. Did you know much about them going in?
We didn't know that much. We had raced against them at Henley Women's in the time trial, so we knew we were 2 seconds quicker than them there. But there had been a few queue changes, so we thought we'd see how it goes today, yeah.
And talk me through the race. How did it unfold, and then how did it evolve out the start and through the middle?
We were up on the start. I think we were pretty confident that we had a quick start, so we were up on them and then basically sat there from the barrier. We stayed pretty internal until the barrier, and then from there just sat up on them, yeah.
And how do you as a cox ensure that your crew stay focused when the opposition is so close, which it sounds like they were throughout that race? How do you ensure focus, cohesion, and that the crew remain really sort of tight-knit as a unit?
We'd already spoken about being internal until the barrier, so that was a given already. I think we knew that was a focus. I think from then I communicated with the stroke girl, and then we talked about how we were going to go about the race. Yeah, that's.
And the next step for you guys, Island Challenge Cup next round. How are you feeling about that? When do you race? Do you know who you're racing yet?
I'm pretty sure we're racing Washington. I'm not sure what time, obviously. But yeah, I think it'll be an exciting one again. Hopefully a good race, yeah.
Thanks so much, Scarlett. It's wonderful to hear from you, and congratulations to all of the Newcastle crews. Well, just the one Newcastle crew, actually, that won today. But I'm excited because the PA4 is still to come, and they'll race Durham, and I'm sure they'll topple Durham on that occasion. Now, though, just before we transition fully onto the junior side of things, Zoe, I mean, it is still the junior side of things, because there is one result from the Temple that we didn't mention, and that was St Paul's going up against Nottingham University. And what a performance from St Paul's to topple the boys from the Midlands.
Absolutely. So that was their second date,
Yeah.
their A crew in the Temple, who schoolboys racing against universities. And not only did they beat them, they looked really good and they went really fast doing it. So, I mean, hats off to those guys, because that's a big ask.
Yeah, it's incredible. And we saw it last year, and the way the draw worked out last year, I think we had 2 of the schoolboys racing against each other.
Yeah.
And we had Teddy's going all the way through to the final. To the Friday. I don't think we're going to have that this year, because I think they face, it's either Neros or, I think it's Neros next, or it's certainly one of the big programs.
It's one of the big programs.
And I think we had Radley as well, and they're facing Washington. I can't remember if they've raced already or if they're still to come today. But yeah, the Nikita Jacobs Cup they're racing for in that Radley one. But Sasha, the junior side of things, we've had, again, a lot of the big hitters, strong performances in the Princess Elizabeth Challenge Cup yesterday, back in action again today. Who stood out for you?
I think that King's School Wimbledon crew against Deerfield were really superb. I think Deerfield put on quite a big display yesterday. Again, as I said, the US crews weren't maybe on their top form, and so for Deerfield to get both a PE and a Prince Philip crew through was quite exciting. Obviously on the women's side they were successful, but on the boys' side they just weren't, and I think it was quite a good race for King's School. They seemed really chuffed with it off the finish line.
Yeah, and I think Zoe, it speaks volumes. I think the strength of UK, particularly UK junior boys rowing, is outstanding. I mean, what was it? We had four or 5.8s, all below 5.46 at national schools. It just seems like the rest of the world just can't compete with it at the moment.
Yeah, and I think it's worth mentioning the Radley crew, obviously.
Naturally.
But they raced this morning when the wind conditions weren't that favourable, and they were 1 second off the barrier record.
Which was held by that St Paul's crew from 2018.
So, I think they are, they're really on their game.
Yeah, they're looking really impressive. And I think, we talked, Zoe, yesterday about, I think it was Windsor Boys who won their round. They lost out to Hampton School on this occasion. And Hampton, again, they're looking great, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, Windsor, again, I was really impressed with them today. They had a great race against Hampton, who are a much more established rowing 8s programme. But Hampton did look good. They looked really aggressive, and they really went after it today. Yeah,
they certainly did. But one of the big stories is on the junior girls side of things, Sasha, because Headington School today, coming in as winners at Henley Women's Regatta, but are lightning quick, record-breaking quick, aren't they, out there on the course?
Absolutely. I think they were 2 seconds ahead of the barrier time, 3 seconds ahead of the Fawley time. Zoe doing some incredible work there on the records. But yeah, they are doing a spectacular job. I know that a lot of the rumours were, will Shiplake come out? Will they give Headington a good run? Can't quite remember where they stand near each other on the draw, but that race, when it comes, I think will be spectacular. Shiplake weren't able to be at Henley Women, so we're not quite sure where they stand against Headington at this point in the season. I know that Shiplake weren't. I think they had some illness in the crew, so it would just be interesting to see whether Headington have managed to whip ahead and are able to push ahead. I think they were third at Nat School's, Henley fourth, and so it was always going to be quite a solid race between Headington and Henley. But Headington, that was a cracking race.
Yeah, I think the standard of these junior women's 8s is actually insane.
Yeah.
I was watching Shiplake row to the start this morning, and I remember looking at them and I was thinking, that looks like a sort of once in a generation crew. And then you see Teddy's, and then you see Headington, and then you see, and you just think that.
Yeah.
They're across the board.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
I'm really excited to see what Row America Rye do when they come in, I think, tomorrow. Because I know that there are a lot of eyes on that crew, but I do just think that the British junior girls 8s are spectacular this year.
They're racing later today.
Oh, they might be.
I think they're later
Oh,
today,
okay.
So we can look out for that one.
Yeah, because that's the big one, because we know that Row America I have come in, and the last time Row America I were beaten was in the final 2 years ago against Headington, so that's going to be incredibly exciting. We will be hearing from Headington in just a couple of minutes' time, but I think we mentioned Deerfield on the boys' side of things.
Yes.
Their girls, Sasha, got a great win today, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Against Latimer School. It was, I think, quite a tight race coming into the middle section, but they just managed to pull away through the enclosures. Latimer doing a fantastic job of holding on, but I think they the pressure might have gotten to them a little bit. They looked a little bit desperate coming across the line. I think just trying to claw back any length that they could. Deerfield, I think, having a similar situation in their boat, because as they crossed the line, there were a few almost crabs in the cruise. But again, it just, I think, is a testament to junior women's rowing across the world.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of testaments to junior rowing, this is a very good opportunity to check in with Ryan Demain, the director of rowing at Headington School, after his record-breaking Prince Philip Challenge Cup crew took to the water, defeating Henley Rowing Club.
Run us through what you sort of made of the race first.
First one of the regatta, and I think it's always hard to say, how it's going unless you're actually kind of, through to Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I think the regatta always picks up, and actually it was, I think, a fairly well executed race, but we'll see afterwards. Yeah.
And sort of building since national schools into obviously very successful Henley Women's. How's that kind of process been with the girls?
Yeah, I mean, Henley Women's, we didn't have everyone there. Let's be honest, some of the big hitters from national schools weren't there, so kind of going in a bit kind of in the dark when it comes to this regatta. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah.
And just heard that it's a record to the barrier and the Forley. How do you sort of manage expectations and kind of temper things with the crew going into the next round?
Conditions are really good. I mean, I think the water's really warm. It's fast conditions, a bit of tail out there. So, records are kind of, I think the standard junior women's rowing, we'll see records falling from a lot of crews this week. Not just here. And also the intermediate stuff, that's the easy stuff to get. So, yeah.
Thanks very much to Ryan Demain. Congratulations to all of Headington School on that record-breaking performance, and we're so excited to see how they progress through the rounds here at Henley Royal Regatta. But Zoe, we can talk on the club side of things now, and it seems like quite a fitting moment because we've just had London's Danesfield quad boating. We've had a drum, I think, being banged by London. All sorts going on. But we'll come on to the Danesfield because you want to start with the YFO Challenge Cup, don't you?
No, I want to start with the Brit.
Do you want to start with the Brit?
Yeah, I want to start with the Brit.
Oh, we'll start with the
The
Brit then.
Y-fold gives me anxiety. We talked about
we
this
did talk about this
yesterday.
yesterday. You were like, no, Brit, fine, Brit, okay. We'll come back to the
No, I
Y-fold.
wanted to call out one person
Yes.
in the whole of the Brit, and that's JRN writer Sarah Armstrong. I won't call out her age. I think that would be unfair. But this is her 18th Henley
Wow.
Royal campaign, and I think she was a finalist in the Brit in 2024.
Yeah.
She was in that good Royal Chester 8 that was maybe semi-finalists in 2012.
Recent years.
2012. And she was wearing her winning Cox cap, so I was obviously
Absolutely
delighted.
no bias
It's just
there.
brilliant. I just think, it just goes to show what you can do in this sport if you stick it out. Royal Chester, not traditionally a powerhouse of rowing, but they have come here year after year with really, really good crews. So I just think it's incredible that she's doing that.
Yeah. And Sasha, speaking of clubs that have come here with incredible crews year after year, it's a seamless segment. Molesey Boat Club, across the board on the women's side of things. We'll talk about their Danesfield quad, but what about Molesey Sea in the Wargrave?
Molesey Sea, I think, might actually be my standout crew of the whole regatta. The first race of Henley Royal 2026 was Molesey Sea versus Vesta A. I had a bit of vested interest in the Vesta crew, but I kind of thought, Molesey Sea, Vesta A, that will be probably a good race. Vesta will come out trumps, and they didn't. Molesey Sea absolutely stormed through them, and I think now all I'm waiting for is just to see what they do next, because again versus Sydney today, an absolutely stonking race, and they look fantastic doing it. There's no desperation, there's no kind of just about flying in by the seat of their pants. They are doing spectacularly, and I think that's kind of to be expected from a programme that won, what was it, the Bridge last year?
Yeah.
People,
last year.
The Wargrave last year. People flock to success, but I mean, to see a sea crew doing so superbly well, especially in comparison to a lot of names that I think we're more used to seeing at the top, it's really exciting. But yeah, no, it's just they are definitely my crew of the regatta so far.
Yeah, and also in the Danesfield as well, their quad's
Yeah.
going very nicely there, isn't it?
Yes, no, they're doing a really good job. The Danesfield overall, I think it's just been spectacular to see women's club quads hitting the water for the first time, and obviously we look at the results, record breaking times almost every time, but I think just the fact that they're out there is really superb.
Yeah, absolutely awesome. And Zoe, we've also had, well, you've got a bit of a PSA, don't you, for the Y-fold?
Well, I've got a PSA for anyone steering any boat. Actually, the coxes more,
Yeah.
I'd say. If you are on that Berkshire station and you are coming through the enclosures to the finish line, stay on the Berkshire station. Do not come into the middle. You are losing what, little advantage extra you might have there by coming into the middle. And I've been watching crew after crew after crew, coxless, coxed at every level do it today. And it's annoying me.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, we've addressed
So
that
please
now.
don't do that tomorrow, Fergus.
I won't.
Thank you, I appreciate
I don't
that.
think I'm allowed out on the water. I've kept on dry land. One that I do want to wrap up just before we look ahead to tomorrow, from the Thames Cup side of things, it was actually Matthew Pinson's big call of the day on our new lunchtime programme, the Progress Board. And he called that Damas would hold out and beat London Rowing Club B in the Thames by 3/4 of a length, and it was exactly that. It was a fascinating race going from start to finish. Great from London to hold themselves in contention, but I thought Damas looked good actually. Okay, yes, it was London B they beat, but they looked a tidy outfit, and looking forward to seeing how far they can progress through Henley Royal Regatta. And speaking of progressing through Henley Royal Regatta, Zoe, when it comes to tomorrow's racing and some other bits and bobs we've got coming up, what are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to seeing some of those temple matchups. I think they're going to be great. I mean, obviously the Nearhouse one, A versus B, nobody likes to have to do that, but I think there's going to be some great racing there tomorrow.
Fantastic. Sasha, what about you?
I think I couldn't go without saying I'm really looking forward to seeing the Durham crew tomorrow. They'll be racing the Edinburgh A boat that came through Bath this morning. I'm also really looking forward to seeing the Danesfield crews. Today we've had some quite large margins, I think, just because it's the first stages of that race. And we're having crews kind of test the waters for the first time, but it will be really great to see what the selected crews start coming in and doing.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of course, we've got some more of them boating just behind us. I think that's London back out on the water again. We heard their drum banging in the backgrounds as the crews are getting ready to boat. But that is just about all we've got time for, because as London take to the water, that means tea break is coming to an end, and that's just about all we've got time for on today's episode. So thank you so much to Zoe, thank you so much to Sasha for joining me on the balcony here at Henley Royal Regatta. We can't wait to do it all again tomorrow on the next episode of The End of the Island.